All right, guys. Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to MESC Red Devils NCR. This is Delvin, and I have Wali and Shitij with me today. Hello, gentlemen. Good night, good evening, whatever it is. Hope you're doing well. And another key game. United plays Spurs, and I mean the resemblance cannot be to start. I mean Spurs have come back. Spurs are entering this game on the back of a massive ass whooping, where Newcastle literally bent them over and had their way with them for the first 20 minutes, and then from there on it was. I mean, I'm surprised that they didn't go ahead and score more, but you'd be safe to say that Spurs will be looking for a response, and we would hope to continue our solid run. And yeah, there's a lot riding on upon this game, and all in all, it is a very interesting outlook to look at this game. But before I start, let me go a little off topic. My question to you is, to both of you guys is, have City signed, sealed, and delivered the title to the blue side of Manchester after yesterday's win? Wali bhai, I'll start with you. What are your opinions? Is the title race done, or do you think Arsenal still has a say in the title race for the remainder of the season right now?
The day when I said that they have signed, sealed, and delivered was when Arsenal drew to West Ham. I think that from that moment onwards, I knew that it's done for Arsenal because being 2-0 in front of West Ham, who just lost 5-0 to Newcastle in the previous game, in the previous fixture, and then drawing 2-all to them, almost losing. I knew it that they did not have it in them to actually sustain this momentum going ahead. And even then what happened in the next game, you just look at it, 3-1, it was Southampton leading against Arsenal at the Emirates, the bottom team, the team at the bottom. And then there were some Arsenal fans who did say that they did at least show some fight. Well, uh, what's the point of showing fights in the final 5 minutes when, if especially if you're in a title race? This is not a top four race that we're talking about. So yeah, they have bottled it. They had, I think, the moment that they bottled it was against West Ham and Southampton because these two teams deserved to be beaten as per an Arsenal fans' perspective. And if they had just beaten them, it I don't think would have mattered even if City had battered them, which they eventually did. So no, they did not bottle it yesterday. They bottled it after not beating West Ham and Southampton, and now it's comfortably within City's range. So yeah.
I think you could add the Liverpool game also. They were 2 nil up there too. Should have won that in all intents and purposes. So I
You
think
can excuse
there
them
were
for the
signs.
Anfield hype. You can just excuse them for that
No, they should
if you
have.
want
They
to.
should have buried the game there. I believe. I mean, uh, not exactly bottled it from there, but you could see signs of fragility from the Liverpool game onwards. And yeah, Shatish, bhai, your opinions on the title race? I mean, I think it's safe to say that Arsenal have bottled it from here. But do you think they still have a say to make things interesting? Perhaps take it to the final day, which is what Liverpool have been doing, or at least make it interesting for the final day. Something to cheer about.
Yeah, I mean, they will take it to the final day, in my opinion. Then they'll fight, they'll give it their best, but again, there will be 1 or 2 point difference. So City will be winning league again by that 1 or 2 point gap, which they have been doing for last few season.
There is,
So
for all the transgressions that we throw on City, I mean, there is something about that team that makes you begrudgingly respect them for what they've been doing. And
see, they are not noisy neighbors anymore. They're just neighbors. Let's be honest here. I mean, they're still a small club in if you compare it to our club, yes. But that's how big clubs become big clubs. They keep on winning trophy, they keep on churning trophy. And by time people start becoming their fan, they start becoming their loyal fan. And it's very obvious that the kids who are growing up right now, who are like 12, 13, and they are watching Premier League, they will be attracted towards City like we were attracted towards United, or somewhere towards Arsenal, somewhere towards Liverpool are different scenarios, history and everything. But Chelsea, Chelsea is the biggest example that got its fan base to sheer success in the early 2000s. Same is what City is doing. And You have to respect them. And because I think, see, when people say that Arsenal has bottled it, yes, for the fun sake, for the banter sake, yes, obviously they bottled it. They were 8 points ahead, everything. But we all knew that even if Arsenal were 12 points ahead, that City was the favorite to win the titles because the mental fortitude of that team. Oh my God. And the fucking best midfielder in the Premier League. They have the best midfielder in the Premier League. Honestly. I know we have Bruno, but like it's not even comparable. I'm sorry. Just Kevin De Bruyne
Find
is
it
magic.
find it very weird when there is a lot of comparison between Bruno and KDB. I mean, both great elite midfielders, but then there's
Yes.
something about KDB that just makes you
It's magical.
yeah, exactly. Walibai, Penny, for your thoughts about Pep being only the second manager in the Premier League era to do the three-peat. He's on the verge of it. Sir Alex done it twice. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think you have to say that it was bound to happen at some point. And to those people who keep bantering City about not winning the Champions League as well, as long as Pep Guardiola is there, he is eventually going to win it. Even if he somehow gets beaten by Real Madrid this season, which I don't think might happen, I still think that he's going to win City their first Champions League. So yes, he's going to break a lot of records for City. Uh, Regardless of what you say about him, he is a smart guy. He goes to a club which has a good infrastructure, which actually respects and trusts the manager and backs the manager, which hasn't been the case for many of the clubs in today's day and age. So he goes there. But what he does is he responds to that by actually displaying tactics and making us watch football that probably we just love watching at this point of stage. You just look at the game yesterday. Arsenal, it didn't seem like they were top of the league. It seemed like a City were against Southampton or some other team. If it wasn't for Erling Haaland, by the way, that was Erling Haaland's best performance yesterday. If yes, he got a goal in the 93rd or 94th minute, but in spite of not scoring a goal before that, he was all over the place. The way that he was actually making space for Kevin De Bruyne, his hold up play, his everything, his pace, everything was top notch
I
yesterday.
think there was a switch yesterday. I think there was Erling De Bruyne and Kevin Haaland on the pitch. I mean, the way both switched roles. I mean, for once you could see. So that's another threat that Premier League defenses have to potentially deal with next season, where Erling Haaland is becoming much more crucial in build up and is putting that final ball into the box. And as far as Haaland getting his goal was concerned, if only he knew that all he had to do to score against Arsenal was, just let his hair off. I think he should have done it from the first whistle itself. He would have he would have bagged multiple goals. So I mean, but yeah, the way that City played yesterday is absolutely frightening. I mean, they could have laid Arsenal to waste. 7-8 easily. Haaland missed at least two. We have we
Same to Erling Haaland.
We have our own Haaland.
speaking about Haaland, Paritosh Bhai is
Haaland,
on the stream.
Haaland.
And there was this video which I came across. I put it on my Instagram as well. There
Got it.
where it's the pre-match where they are training for the pre-match, and this City side absolutely bully the living daylights out of Haaland in the rondos. They have mercilessly nutmegged him twice in succession, and you can literally see Erling Haaland punching the air during training because he's downright bullied by these guys in the rondos. So these guys have just traumatized him, and just he then removes all his frustration on the Premier League. So like it's
Maybe
insane.
that's the tactic. Maybe that's the tactic.
Yeah, of
Maybe
course it
that's the
is.
tactic.
It is. Of course it is. I think the lineups are out. It's a 12:30 game if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes.
Is it
12:45.
12?
12:45.
So then there's
40.
12:45. There's still time. Then I thought it's 12:30 game, so there's still time left. So apparently Bruno starts, which could be a risk. Considering his injury record, so let's talk about the game now. Let's put our focus to the game. Paritosh bhai, I'll start with you. Spurs, we all know what happened with them last game. No point talking about it. United, on the other hand, held firm, pretty competent against Brighton. Neither we created a lot of chances, neither we allowed them to create too many chances. All in all, it was a pretty satisfactory defensive performance.
Uh,
But uh, what do you make about this game, considering that it is Spurs away? And like Rohan Mandal pointed out, I think someone pointed out, and yeah, Prakash Mandal pointed out that our record against the sides in the top six has been dreadful away. I think Walibai also mentioned it in one of the earlier streams that our away record has been a massive concern. Seven against Liverpool, conceded six conceded against City, conceded twice against Newcastle. Conceded four against Brentford, conceded three against Villa. Yeah, the list goes on. So how important it is to just win this game and allay those concerns, and maybe could this be the game where we end up more or less sealing our spot for the Champions League also, provided if we do win and get the 3 points. Partheshwar, what are your thoughts on?
Uh,
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
yes. I do believe that if we win, our Champions League spot is pretty much done. Uh, and What I hope is that we win, but what I think is going to happen is that this is going to be a very tough game and we're going to come out with a draw. I'm giving you the prediction right away. And I say that because Tottenham, with the things around the club, their interim manager has also been sacked. And now the focus is more on the players. They have taken it upon themselves that they need to do better. They are like refunding for the Newcastle game and things like that. You like to see as a fan, not as an opposition fan, because this means that they'll play with a vendetta. They'll be like, nobody wants us to succeed. That will be the mentality, and this is crucial for us because this has happened just before the game against Manchester United. Not any other normal game because they would have lost points. This has happened against Manchester United, and they'll have a sole focus. They'll give it their everything, and this is not something I want from a side who is playing us in one of the fixtures where we are not at our 100%. If we were 100%, we would have been far better off. I think this is going to be a tough game for United.
And I mean, you are right in saying that. I mean, no, you are right in their mentality. I mean, no one wants them to succeed. I mean, of course, no one wants them to succeed. Like they are right in thinking that also. It is what it is. It is Spurs, and conceding 5 goals in 20 minutes against Newcastle, no matter how good they're playing, is something seriously wrong with that
Acha,
side.
yeah, have you already talked about the City Arsenal game?
We have, yes. I'll ask you. I'll ask you the question as well. I mean, after the game yesterday, do you believe that this title race, for all intents and purposes, is over, or do you think that Arsenal still have a say in this?
I think they do still have a say in this, but the game showed the levels still. Everybody else needs to catch up to Manchester City. I mean, at their best, they are like head and shoulders above everybody. Arsenal looked like a top 10 side at best against Man City. And correct me if I'm wrong. They look bang average and they have been fantastic all season. I have given them credit for the mentality that they have brought with them in this particular season.
They
Arsenal with
shrunk.
the,
They shrunk
yeah,
yesterday. They shrunk.
and it showed the levels that everybody needs to catch up to, even us. We were very snarky about the fact that in the first 6 months we were able to have uh, the conversation around a title challenge with Eric Ten Hag. But the long-term process, the long project that City have undergone with various managers and now with Pep Guardiola, it has worked wonders for them. They are a club which is in a way better position than everybody. And I think if somebody can have something of a footballing model, they should go for the City model because they have been very successful. Although it requires a lot of money, but the top clubs right now can afford a lot of money.
All right. Fair enough. Uh, Saksham Bhai says another Spurs refund incoming. Okay, interesting to say. Ojas Bhai says and puts in a very interesting question. Ericsson will play a role today. Wali Bhai, I'll talk to you a little bit about Ericsson. Obviously, this is Spurs old boy coming back to his earlier stomping ground. I don't think he must have played in this stadium, if I'm mistaken. I don't think he must have. But do you think that no, no, in this stadium as a Spurs player, has he? I'm not sure whether he has.
No, no, no. I
So
don't think so.
yeah. So my question to you is: do you believe that Ericsson will indeed have a role to play? Because in the last two games that we've seen against Sevilla and against Brighton in the semi-final, Ericsson did look like a man who was way off the pace. He's not up to his levels fitness wise also, which is very evident to see, and that has had a knock on effect on the way he performs also. So, what are your thoughts on Saksham by saying, or just by saying that Ericsson will have a role to play in today's game?
For Ericsson, I would just like to say, like if Tottenham play the way that they have been, and they haven't been really good in the press, the gegen pressing, the counter pressing, etc. So when you give Ericsson time, then he will actually look really good. And if teams like Sevilla and Brighton are there from the get go, winning 50-50s, being there right up on your face, then Ericsson will look a little, he will look a little cagey. On certain occasions, he will look class. And I think a game before that, which game was it again? I think it was against Nottingham Forest when Ericsson came
Yep,
in place of
yep,
Sabitzer.
yep.
You could really see the difference that he made over there. And Nottingham Forest, they were deep in the defense. And when you give him time, he will definitely look good. So I think he's going to have a big say in today's game. I'm glad that Bruno Fernandes is fit. I don't know what that guy is made of, but whatever that guy is made of, I wish half of that is given to Anthony Martial as well, because we need him. Uh, but it's going to be important. It's going to be important. And as far as the game goes for tonight, like Paritos has mentioned, it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. But honestly, like you might say that my standards might not be right now up there, but I would even be happy with the draw coming out of that stadium because our away record hasn't been really good. So even if it's a draw, I think I would be fine with that. These next two games, Tottenham as well as Aston Villa, I think are key. If we somehow manage to get maximum points, if we somehow manage to get maximum points against Aston Villa as well, they were 15th at what stage, if I'm not wrong, and now they're
17th, 17th,
17th, 17th at once, and now they're sixth or fifth.
fifth, fifth,
So
fifth.
kudos to Unai Emery, man. Seriously. So it's gonna be a tough game as well. We will talk about that. So yeah, let's go.
Excuse me, one second. Everybody in the comments talking about the Argentina jersey and Angel Di Maria, this and that. You can also think about our boy Martinez, who has given us everything in this season. Why are you not
Do
thinking
not
about our
do,
players?
do not forget cult hero Marcus Rojo. Sorry, I will
Yeah,
not. I
man.
will not. I will not
I'll
tolerate
not have
any.
Argentina slander. Yeah,
I,
this jersey has completed. This jersey has completed football. Okay, I have been a Ronaldo fan all my life, but I'll say this: that this guy, who played in this jersey, has completed football. And
and
I'll
my guy is doing clotheslines and choke slams in Saudi, and my blood is holding his nuts out there.
अरे इट्स ओके मतलब वो स्लैंडर ठीक है लेकिन मैंने तो मार्टिनेज सोच के खरीदी थी यार तुम लोग अब उल्टा उल्टा मतलब निकालो तो क्या कर सकते हैं
Okay. Moving on to the game. I mean, we've spoken a lot about Spurs and the threat that they have, but against Newcastle, they just look flat out horrendous. I mean, there was no cohesion. Even like their exercise and damage limitation also is an exercise in futility. I mean, Kshitij bhai, this team is to be there to be taken at. I mean, this team can be got at, but I think as United fans in the past also we have seen so many instances where we've faced a team that is ripe and that's there for the taking. Look no ahead than the Liverpool game only. We went to Anfield at a time where Liverpool were on a wretched run, and then the result was there for everyone to see. So we also have that propensity to let our tools down, or maybe go in with the mentality that yeah, we've entered this game and we expect to win. All we have to do is just turn up. Do you believe that this could be the case today also, or do you think that we've learned enough from past failings, past mistakes, and past setbacks from similar situations?
See, the my answer is going to be twofold, honestly. First of all, the Spurs thing, where they got battered so badly that they will try to prove themselves and they will try to come with full force and everything. They're Spurs, first of all. Okay. And second. when someone is injured, they'll try to get back up, but if you put a one tight slap to their face, they get back down much more easy. That is my first point. When it comes to United, yes, we are pretty shaky when it's come to away teams and playing at the stadium. But looking how deflated Spurs is right now, looking how bad they are performing, they have sacked their interim head coach also. Ryan Mason is back at the wheel. I think the disruption is way too much in that team. Not as much as Chelsea. Yes, obviously, I'm very happy about that. But like, still, Spurs on one hand, they'll try to hit you up for like 20 minutes. But if we take our team away from that period of storm of 20 minutes, I think we should be fine enough for Spurs. I am not like confidence again, no positive nervousness here. It's just that we will look to hit Spurs, but after 20 minutes, as far as I think, we have learned our lesson that hold them, uh, grind them down for first 20-25 minutes. Don't let them have the momentum in the game and just go for it.
I mean, Kshitij bhai, I should humbly probably tell you in the interest of everyone, please stop using positive nervousness because it has always been a bad sign for us whenever the games have happened. So please, humble request, do not use positive nervousness next time before any stream that you're part of. Interest issued in public interest, please don't
Thank you.
just
Thank you.
don't.
We have lost every game. We have lost every game in which this word has been used. How long?
Please.
How long can we suffer?
We won the
We have
Brighton match, guys.
it was a draw if you take it in the grand scheme of things. But yes, of course, let's go on. All right. I think we have Anshuman Bhai with us on the stream. Anshuman Bhai, warm welcome to you. Hope you're doing well. Uh, Anshuman Bhai, can you
Yeah,
hear me?
yeah. Hi guys, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are. So
Okay,
Anshuman bhai,
perfect.
speaking about the game. So there are early team news about the fact that Jadon Sancho, Rashford, and Bruno end up starting. Shaw and Lindelof will be the centre back pairing as it is. What
Mhm.
are your thoughts on the lineup? I mean, most of the time that we've seen, okay, the lineup is out. It's De Gea on goal. It's the spider from Croydon who started right back. Lindelof Shaw will be the centre back pairing. Tenor continues to persist with Dallo at the left back. Casemiro, Ericsson, Anthony, Fernandez, Sancho, Rashford. Thoughts on the lineup, Anshman Bhai?
So yeah, not a lot of surprises there, to be honest, because I think as far as the Shaw and Lindelof pairing is concerned, the one thing that we know about Ten Hag is that he likes a left-footed, left-sided centre back. So and if he cannot get that, then he wants someone who can at least play somewhat to the left foot. So which neither of which Maguire does. So having Shaw in that position makes sense because now that he has run out of fullback, he has to resort to Dallo playing left back because that's a position he has played in the past. And when you look at the kind of inverting that he asks his fullbacks to do, Dallo is still able to do that. And Aaron Van Bissaka, we have already, I think, we have discussed in detail about the kind of roles that he's provided. So I'm not that worried about Van Bissaka's performance. I have to assume that Martial may have had some kind of an injury issue. But again, if even if you take that out of the equation, I think the fact that Ericsson and Bruno Fernandes are starting, so the role the Bruno plays in that midfield is slightly different to when Sabitzer plays, especially in that advanced role. And I think having Marcus Rashford again makes sense because he is going to occupy the central areas. The thing that I have liked with Sancho recently is that at least he's being involved early on in the build-up play, which is something that I've always wanted him to get involved in. So at least we are going to have that. And when you look at the players out wide, both Anthony and Jadon Sancho, I think you can make an argument about their goals and assists and make an argument about how they have been incredibly poor. As far as their collective contribution to the team is concerned, I think they are doing a very decent job indeed, and not much to be worried about there. But yeah, so I think having Rashford is a good plus. Bruno, I'm slightly worried about because injury. Maybe we end up aggravating that. And Wally pointed out earlier that okay, this is a guy that plays a lot for us, and goes through a lot of injuries. The problem with that is that you always run the risk of getting burnt out at some point. It hasn't happened yet. I hope it never happens, but it's something that we need to keep in the back of mind, especially because at this point in the season, now that we have only Premier League to focus on in May, we cannot really afford to lose Bruno Fernandes in that capacity that provides for us. So there is that argument as well. So I hope that nothing serious happens, and if there are any inklings of him not being able to continue the game, I hope that Ten Hag quite quickly takes him out of the firing line as well. So it's an exciting lineup, and I think it's good enough to get the job done. How the game pans out is a different thing.
My question to the rest of the guys is Kshitij bhai, Wali bhai, Paritosh bhai, whoever wants to take the floor first, floor is yours. Do you think starting Bruno is a risk today? Let's
Yes,
keep in
yes.
mind that Bruno is our most creative outlet, and with Bruno's absence, we play like a man who has performance anxiety when he's on the bed. That is the difference between Man United with Bruno and Man United without Bruno. We are basically impotent when it comes to attack without Bruno on the side. Keeping all that in mind, do you think starting Bruno is a risk today?
First of all, how do you know about performance anxiety? And a man who has performance issues is not known to me, and I'd rather not like to know. But
In this
Bruno
Indian
Fernandes.
household, we worship Indian values. I could not get that reference at all. So maybe
Okay,
Bali did. I have no idea.
I have like zero, absolutely zero faith and respect for your words. You mind your language. I'm not your yar.
Not telling it to
Okay,
you.
okay. And talking about Bruno Fernandes and his role, I think it's a big risk because I'd rather have him rest for one game and play for the rest than uh, playing this game, getting his injury a lot worse, and then not being able to play like 2, 3 games or something like that. If he is injured, because we've seen him in a cast, although I trust Eric Ten Hag and I also know that he also is someone who prefers Bruno Fernandes on the pitch rather than off it. I do hope that there is no injury concern for Bruno, and even if there is, he is able to negate it better because I do believe it's a risk playing him. I do believe it's a risk playing him in this game.
Speaking about a risk, the Spurs lineup is out, and Hugo Lloris has been au revoir out of the starting lineup. He's been dropped for Fraser Foster. Eric Dyer, Christian Romero, Clement Longley are the three defenders. It's Oliver Hop, skip and jump, Hoybier, Ivan Perisic, and Pedro Porro who are the midfield. And it's Son Heung-min, the 50 million pigeon, and Harry Kane starting for Spurs in the forward line. Thoughts about the lineup, gentlemen, for Spurs?
I think it's quite irrelevant at this point as to what Spurs pick because it really doesn't matter what they pick. The reason for that is the institutional problems that Spurs have had over the last 2 3 seasons have come back to bite them so badly. And it's like the last match was like a actual representation of everything that's been going on. It was a sort of a culmination, like that Barca performance against Bayern, which they lost 8-2.
Yep.
So it was when you think in general about the idea of sacking Conte and then keeping Stellini on board, this is probably the best outcome that could have had for everyone involved because it put Stellini out of his misery again. The Newcastle fans could cheer their team, having a great time out, and the Spurs could completely capitulate in a way that at least allows themselves to have a hard, long look in the mirror. So I honestly do not know what kind of a game plan Spurs are going to have. I don't think they have one either. I just think that this is the team talk that Ryan Mason would have provided them would have been much more of a man management thing. Like just go out there, try to be the best version of yourself, something that Solskjaer would do, in his caretaking time. I'm not sure much else can be done at this point. There are some better fixes here, like in the last match, Stellini decided to play Pedro Porro out in a back four, which is already a disaster waiting to happen, and just that worked out exactly as you would hope. Oliver Skip alongside Pierre Højbjerg is it's quite interesting because neither of them are. But that again, the point comes back to the Spurs team collectively not working well as a collective right now. It's an institutional problem, and it's currently flowing through the players. So you can expect them to wanting to do better, but I honestly don't think if they have that in them. So but I do believe that United have the tendency to at least drop a point here. But I would be very surprised if Spurs were able to come out with a performance, a performance of a lifetime in which they are like very calm, collected, or at least in a way where they can create any kind of a substantial result. I cannot see that happening. I can see them going to make an effort and everything. I can see Hoybier and Casemiro fighting out in the middle of a pitch for some reason, someone tackling someone else's ankles. That I completely see happening. Richarlison and Anthony fighting in some corner of a scrum. I can see that happening as well. But I cannot see Tottenham coming up with any kind of substantial performance in this game. And I don't think if they are looking to salvage their season, I don't think they're looking at this game as something where they're expecting any kind of points to come out of. I think this is more of a free hit for them. It's more important for us to be in the pace with the rest of the top four teams, because it's not a done deal for us. Newcastle are doing very well, so are Brighton, and I will never put Liverpool out as far as they are currently. I'll hope that they don't make the top four, but I cannot rule them out just yet. So we need to be on our toes. We are much more collective as well. We have performed better than them throughout the season, and the away record notwithstanding, I think this is something that we have in our back pocket. So going into this game, as long as we keep our nerves and don't allow Spurs to have any kind of an advantage, even when they don't merit one and they don't have any room for one, I think we should be fine.
Surprised you didn't add Aston Villa in the list, considering they are the team who currently on fifth place. But I understand you can get it here. Yeah, Walibai, you want to say something?
Earlier, I had said that I would be happy with the draw, but once I look at this defensive line of Tottenham, Foster, Romero, Dial, Lenglet, and then Pedro Porro, I think Sancho and Anthony should be having a field day over there. To be very honest, man, this defense doesn't scare me at all. I will be now disappointed if we get a draw. So I'm fully expecting us to get a win with this team that they've put up. And like I know this is the usual team, but once again, once you look at that team in front of you and against the attackers that we have, it gives you a lot more perspective. And with Bruno already being there, I think there will be plenty of chances being created. I think Sancho will have a very big role. I have this feeling because their defenders are not confident. Their right back is having an issue as well, and he might create a lot of chances from that flank. So keep an eye out for him. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Anshuman Bhai's point about Spurs having problems, right? Organizational problems throughout is does make a lot of sense, especially where I think a few days ago, not a couple of days ago, I heard Emerson Royal's father saying that he should go to Real Madrid out of all the clubs. I mean, the audacity and the cheek, maybe I don't know whether he's trying to take the piss or whatever, but saying that his
Both
son
wear white jerseys. Both wear white jerseys. Same.
doesn't mean you get, doesn't mean you go there. But yeah, it's very weird, very weird indeed. Anshuman Bhai, Wali Bhai, Kshitij Bhai, and Paritosh Bhai. Let's have a small rondo. How many of you all fancy a Richarlison goal which will be disallowed again? In
I
this
honestly
season?
cannot see him making any kind of a veritable contribution here, because I have seen Pedro Porro play in Liga NOS. I have seen Richarlison play under Conte, and I honestly cannot make sense of this right-sided situation, especially when Kane and Son are playing together with the way they are. And I'm not sure whether Ryan Mason would have been able to conjure up any kind of a system in which Porro can play off the right, Richarlison can play off the right, and Kane can accommodate all of them. I think a lot of it comes down to just Kane and him connecting the midfield and then linking up the play with Son and Richarlison. So Son, with the kind of form that he has had for the rest of the season, I think him I'm more worried about. With Richarlison, it's more of a case of I think temperament. So someone to target, much like Højbjerg in midfield, someone to target. If you can get them in early yellow, it will rile Tottenham even more up.
How important it is for United to go after that centre back pairing, Wali Bhai? I think it is Dyer and Christian Romero, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, both of them literal accidents waiting to happen. I still can't fathom my mind as to how Christian Romero starts for Argentina day in day out. That man is an absolute fire hazard. Uh, he just rushes into tackles brainlessly. I don't know how some writers had gone ahead early on and called him one of the most composed Tottenham defenders. I mean, for fuck's sake. What are your thoughts? Like how important it is to get into their minds, because Anshuman Bhai said that there will be tackles flying around, and it is going to be Romero who's going to lead them from the front in that regard. So how important it is to just get into their minds. I mean, they're not the best when it comes to pressure. Dyer, and plus Dyer not exactly the fastest going around in the business also. So how important it is, for Rashford, or maybe up to a certain extent, maybe Anthony and Sancho also, to just make their impact or make their presence felt, like they're going to be like a rash on these guys all along, all game long.
Well, Anshuman had earlier mentioned that Anthony Martial might be injured, but I honestly don't think that he's injured, and there's a reason why Rashford is starting, and this is exactly the reason why he might be starting, because Eric Dyer, even before the ball has been kicked off, he now has another thing to worry about, and that is that make sure that Rashford doesn't run in behind, and if he does, there's no chance in hell that he's going to actually catch him by any chance. There isn't any possibility. So it's going to be difficult for Eric Dyer as well as Romero. So I understand why Rashford is being picked over here, and in a sense, you could also say that Sancho has been picked to start in this game, because Martial and Sancho, in a way, are similar as to they want their ball to their feet and they like to link up play and creating, and they're quite selfless in the way that they like to create chances through their one and twos. So that is something which can be compensated by Martial's absence, which is why Sancho is starting. So I think Rashford, the main reason for Rashford starting over here is that when we make sure that Bruno or let's say Ericsson has the ball, Rashford is going to make that run in behind. And if he does, I don't think that it's good. Eric Dyer and Romero have it in them to stop him. So I think it's a much more of a tactical move to start Rashford over Martial as a number.
Parthish Bhai Sahil Bajaj in on the chat did say that he's expecting Spurs to come up with a high pressing game from the start, and he has the opinion that we should perhaps choose this game to perhaps hit the bus and park the bus and play on the counter. Your thoughts on that? You think is this the approach to go against a Spurs side who are already underconfident and wobbly at best?
How many times have you seen Eric Ten Hag do that? That's my only question.
No, no. I'm just telling you to answer it from Sahil's question. His opinion is of the fact that United should go play this game basically by sitting back and hitting them on the counter.
Even when we have faced low block teams, have you seen us do that?
Not
Sitting
exactly.
back.
No.
We don't play that kind of football under Eric Ten Hag. So there's no way we are going to do that. We're going to try and break them down, and that is the approach to go for. We have done that done the trick of counter-attacking teams, and it has worked for us under previous managers. But Eric Ten Hag doesn't believe in that. He believes in building systems. He believes in finding ways to score past these teams. He believes in stretching defenses to a point where you get spaces, and that is the approach that we're going to take. We are going to create chances, and with Ericsson and Bruno Fernandes starting, I think the intent is pretty much clear. Anthony Sancho on the side with Ericsson and Bruno running things at the center, along with Rashford as a striker. This is going to be what Eric Ten Hag really wants to do. He wants his side to play wide and stretch defenses and find spaces. And I don't think we're going to sit back and make way for a counter with Rashford running in behind. Although he'll run in behind, but I don't think it will be just counter-attacking football where we sit back and one long ball and Rashford or Anthony or Sancho has to go all guns blazing.
Fair enough. Thank you so much, Parthish Bhai. So Kshitij Bhai, simple question. Thoughts on Anthony Taylor refereeing the game?
Um,
Casemiro be there.
Anthony Taylor, and how bad are English referees, man? Honestly, every single one of them, every single, it's just so horrible to watch them referee a football match. Brighton match, for example, take that match. Oh my God, it was painful to watch the referee in that match. Even though he got like some decisions spot on, but holy shit, as a referee, you should get at least 70% of the decisions right. Anthony Taylor. It's a villain. Okay, I'm sorry for the word, but he's a villain. He supposed to be one of the most senior referees in the league. He's supposed to be the experienced one. He's supposed to be one of the top guys to manage big matches, top six matches. But honestly, like now I understand when I see Anthony Taylor referee a match, I understand what Chelsea fans mean by like he's the absolute horrible. Because the last time Anthony Taylor was our referee, oh my God, that was unspeakable of what he was doing in the whole match. And I'm pretty sure that Anthony Taylor is going to fuck up a very big decision in this match. And and not just saying for United, for Spurs also it can happen, but horrible, horrible.
Yeah, absolutely. So Walibai just went ahead and said that Casemiro could be in trouble and it's not looking good for Casemiro, and that's already well before the game starting. So let's gentlemen, let's just focus our attention a little bit off the game because there are a lot of things that are happening uh, out of Old Trafford as well, and one of them seemingly is the takeover issue. Anshuman bhai, I'll start. I'll put out this question to you. Apparently tomorrow is the last day for the deadline for the third round of biddings, so on and so forth. And there has been a rumor which has been floating around. I don't know how much of truth is there in that or how much sense to make of that. That Sir Ratcliffe is willing to have 50% control, and with the Glazers having the rest. What are your thoughts on the current takeover situation that is enveloping around the club?
So before the takeover drama even happened, my whole take on the Glazer situation was that it was very improbable for anyone to come in and offer them a kind of price that they would actually be happy taking in. So there are a few things that we can say may have happened in the background that may have that have happened in the background that may have affected their decision making in the process. You think about the Super League fiasco and how that just completely unraveled. You look about the COVID, the after the COVID we had the protest in which we completely postponed the Liverpool game 2 seasons ago. So and they keep seeing this time after time, the Glazers, that they cannot placate the United fans no matter what they do, because even when United are and this is something that shout out needs to go to the local fans, the fans that actually live there and protest against the Glazers on a very regular basis, even when the team is not performing, even when the team is performing well. So they have seen this, that no matter what happens, the fans are just not on board with them. So there are a few reasons that they may have had to, at least entertain the idea of a takeover. But what they have seen in all the past months is that they have caught the interest of one of the Gulf states, which I have written about this in the past as well, when talking about who could take Manchester United off the Glazers if someone else had to come in. And I've always talked about that. Okay, it would have to become one of the sports washing projects. It's a very likely scenario. They have the attention of Qatar now, and Qatar are very particular about this. They want this deal to go through, and I don't think they're going to take it lightly if the Glazers just come back and say, you know what, we were just having a laugh. We weren't really interested in. I don't think Qatar is going to take that very lightly, because in both Sir Jim Ratcliffe's consortium and in the Qatar-led consortium, you have two very big players who have very specific reasons to be wanting to own Manchester United, and a lot of it has to do with reputation laundering. But the fact is that they have very strong reasons to want to buy Manchester United, and the Glazers have a very good chance. So the fact that Glazers have not immediately squandered away any thoughts of any kind of bids that have come through, it just tells us that there is a bit of a schism in the Glazer family as well, which has been reported as well, that they are very torn apart, because that as to whether we actually just kill this cash cow right here and get away with a lot of money, or we end up financing our ownership once again so that we can get even more money on a regular basis. And both of those are very lucrative prospects and have their own ups and downs. So it's something that it is for them to discuss. But yeah, that is the major thing, because they are dilly dallying. And the reason I feel they are dilly dallying is because they were not interested in selling the club, but the propositions that have come forward are so interesting, so lucrative, that they're having to think about it, because everything has a price, right? We can put something on the object, and we can say, okay, but this thing is priceless to me, and nothing you can do will ever take it from me. But But if someone else comes with a ridiculous amount of money, let's say a Gulf state who has a much more ulterior motive than just money and than just making money, so you might be able to have a think about it. And that's what the Glazers are going through. I don't think they came into this takeover situation really wanting to sell the club. So they never wanted that in the first place. They're having to think about whether this is something that they should have do now or not. So it's an interesting thing. The only reason it worries me is because we are now approaching summer, and from purely a footballing standpoint, if you have to boil the whole thing down to just football, I'm not sure how much of this conundrum helps the team and the refurbishment of the team. Because when you look at the trio of John Murter, Richard Arnold, and Darren Fletcher, the like, who are supposed to look after our recruitment policies, I'm not sure what kind of idea they have regarding the kind of money they will have to generate or the kind of money they will have, because we sit here and we talk about next season what kind of players we want, and it really just depends on what kind of ownership ends up being at the helm. Because if it's Qataris, buy Harry Kane for 100 million, it doesn't fucking matter. But if it's still Richard Murt, if it's still the Glazers, then you have to become very precarious about, very judicious about the kind of spendings that you're going to make. And whatever United, once again, whatever United spend in the market will have to come from the amount of sales that they are able to create. So those kind of things need to be kept in mind. And from a footballing standpoint, that is something that as United fans we need to worry about. We need to know who is going to be at the helm. If it has to be Glazers, I just hope that it's something that's cleared much before the summer transfer window actually rolls in, because squad building and the idea of squad rebuilding and reinforcement is something that's very important. It's something that was important under Eric Ten Hag in his very for first summer. This is going to continue being the case going forward, and that's something that has been one of a really big Achilles heel for over the past 10 seasons. The one thing that, in the one department in which we have continuously demonstrated that we really don't know what we are doing. So I really hope for everyone involved that the situation is cleared as soon as possible, even if the Glazers are to say something happens soon enough, so that we can at least at the start of next season go with an open mind and go with a sense of clarity. Okay, that this is the situation that we have at hand, and this is how the squad building is going to go. So that is something to keep in mind. And yeah, it's a hard time for the Glazers as well, because I don't think they were interested in selling the club, but there is a very good offer in front of them that they are not able to refuse outright.
Fair enough. You've summarized the situation beautifully. And Walibai, simple question: Do you see this? Do you see a sale happening here? Simple question.
Sale, a full sale.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's gonna happen because this is the third round. Tomorrow is the deadline. I don't think they would have prolonged it for for the sake of actually hanging in there. And even if you look at what happened after they had announced that there would be a third round of bidding, there is a protest on 30th. I'm sure plenty of you are aware of that fact. And even a lot of other YouTube channels, even if you look at Stedford Paddock, etc., they have mentioned the fact that if Glazers somehow manage to stay in this club, they're going to make the protest that happened against Liverpool after the lockdown look like a merry-go-round. It's going to be insane, and that's going to affect a lot of sponsorship deals as well. That's going to affect Manchester United stock exchange graph as well, and obviously their image is already damaged, the Glazers, but it's going to actually destroy them even more. And I don't think anyone would ever want to do business with them, be it the Qataris, be it Sergio Ratcliffe, or anyone else, if that does happen. And as far as the reports go that Sergio Ratcliffe wants the Glazers to actually be in there, I don't think that this is a brief that has come out of Sergio Ratcliffe, because he already knows what the response would have been. Because if anyone says that the Glazers want to stay on with this guy, then they will hate that person eventually. So I think this brief has come out by the Qataris. Because Mike Keegan was the one who actually leaked this, and Mike Keegan has been quite active on Qatar. And in a way, the reason why they have actually done this is so that some of the fan base who were actually backing Sir Jim Ratcliffe, that yes, I think he's the guy, he's a local lad, Manchester fan, etc., etc., to get those fans also on board to the fact that it's better to not be with this guy anymore because he's associating with Glazers. Once that's done, then we come into the picture, because the final move will be made by Qatar, as stated by Keegan tomorrow. And it's all about the offer. They wanted 6 billion. I don't think it's going to be 6 billion. It's going to be somewhere close to 5.5, 5.6 billion. And I think they're going to run away with the money, because I think that's the most sensible thing for them to do as well. It's almost 2 decades now of them actually being in the club and rotting it. And you can just look at the stadium, what's happened to that stadium, and they do not want to take the responsibility of actually pleasing the fans and rebuilding the stadium, the infrastructure of Carrington, sales, etc., etc. So I think they're done with it. It is going to happen. Yes, it's been a tedious process for all of us, including because we want some clarity. Hopefully whatever happens, it's a big, I know like today's game is big and all, but what's happening tomorrow or what happens in the next few 24 hours is actually could decide the fate of United going ahead. Because if you look at what City is doing, if you want to compete with them, then you need some investment. And I think it's going to be really crucial whatever happens in the next 24-48 hours.
Fair enough. Kshitij bhai, same question. What are your thoughts on the entire situation? Yeah, Wali bhai, sure.
Yeah, all right guys.
Yeah, take care. Yeah, Kshitij bhai, your opinion on the entire takeover scenario with all the news floating around and with the general consensus also that is going around with the club and with the fans associated with it. What are your 2 cents on the matter?
I think if it happens, then Qataris are the clear favorites because they have the bag, they have the intent to completely buy off Glazers, which we want. At least I want that. Like just, I don't want even a dust particle of Glazers in this club. Uh, they are termite which have completely chewed up our club, and it's horrible, horrible to watch. So yes, if it happens, it will be Qatari, and I don't think even I agree with Walibhai that it's not going to be 6 billion. It will be in the ballpark around 5.5 to 5.7, not more than that. See, sometimes we need to like focus on the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is going to be like if Qataris buy us, will be the crown jewel of Qatar, and that's what their sports washing model is like. They need to find a sports institution which they can buy. They thought it was going to be Paris, definitely not Paris. I think it's going to be us, and when we are jewel in the crown, they will spend money on us. But as far as I know, these Gulf countries own club, they invest money with a proper plan. It's not like Glazers did not spend money. They spent like our own money. It's fine, but like even if Qataris put their money, they put it really intelligently. Like what happened with City, what is happening with Newcastle. Like Paris also right now they are buying some very good players, young players who are they are building squad around it. I know it's not in their culture to win big trophies, but it is happening, and I think that if Qatar is come, it will be good for us. But with owners, you never know what is going to be happen. It's always very fickle what it can happen. But when it comes to Gulf country, you can at least have the assurance that they will spend big in every transfer window until unless we win a big trophy like Premier League or Champions League.
Yeah, absolutely fair enough. Kshitij bhai, some really good points that you put in there and very well articulated also. So thank you so much for that. Ojas bhai, a question along similar lines. What are your thoughts on the takeaway situation? Uh, I think while Wali bhai and Kshitij bhai have more or less covered everything that there is to cover,
Even
but
Anshuman bhai.
yeah, I'd also like to know what you feel about it, even if it is, even if you explain it in a few words or a few sentences, fine. But I just want to know what you're feeling about the entire takeaway situation.
Like everyone on the panel, I don't have the idea about what are the financial and the technical things that are happening, but it's pretty sure the atmosphere that is happening around the Manchester United fans that they want the sale and they have a confidence that the sale will go through. Otherwise, they will not let Glazers rest. If somehow Glazers manage this, they won't be faced with happy faces right now. There will be so big protest, and if every time I'm opening Twitter, there is a plan of organizing a protest every time that Glazers have a position that they can stay. So whatever is happening on social media and around Manchester, it's something that people want them to go, and they have the confidence that the Glazers will eventually stay.
All right. So focus on the game. Anshuman bhai, not a lot left to ask. I think you covered everything about the Spurs side, the United side, and everything that is going to be approached. But uh, what is where is the game going to be won and where is the game going to be lost at this point in time, Anshuman bhai? Like, is there any particular battle that you feel that could, very well tilt the game in either side's favor?
I think how we deal with Tottenham's right hand side is quite important because it's quite an interesting challenge because we can laugh at Christian Romero for being quite a basket case of a player that he has been this season, but he is in this moment representative of the club that he's playing for and not the player he is. So Christian Romero is the best defender Spurs have had. He was exquisitely well for Atlanta in Serie A, which is why Paratici went for him in the first place. So there is a good player there. Don't let the Spurs angle of it. Much like Harry Kane, there's a good player in there. So the right side is something that I think it will be quite important for us because Pedro Porro is playing alongside a back three, which is something that's quite important because that helps him play a lot more attacking side of football. But how that link up will come about alongside Richarlison and Kane is quite important. I think as long as we have Kane on the leash, if we can control his movement, because the way I look at this lineup, I think Kane is going to have to come deep quite a lot of times to like a play and try to unleash either Porro or Perisic on the other side and Richarlison and so on. So he is going to have to do a lot. And if we can just restrict his movements to quite some degree, I think that immediately nullifies us. And the right hand side is something where a lot of attack is going to come from. Because even if you look at Anthony cutting inside, looking for a ball, you look at Fernandes looking for a side, coming in for trying to create a volume chances. Both of those players are going to try to make their chances off the right hand side. And when you look at Sancho and Eriksen, Eriksen is going to try to build a play from the back alongside on our left, and Sancho again, his preferred style of play would be to come on the left, come early in the build up play and start playing. And if I'm looking at the way because Dalo is playing at the left back position, he's going to come and invert into the central areas. So again, I think one player will have to move on into the left hand side, and that again will create challenges for Tottenham. Now, it's not to say that they cannot overcome those challenges, but it's just that because of the situation they have been in, and because this is a very interesting setup that they've decided to go for on the right hand side, I think that's where the match will be won and lost.
Uh, Ojas bhai, do you really feel that today is the day where Weghorst will get his first Premier League goal? I think you sounded very confident earlier on. What are your thoughts on that? And do you actually believe what you said earlier?
Yeah, I just had a feeling. It's not something theoretical that I have read the stats and movement, and I recognize that the player is very close to scoring goal. It's something of an intuition. It's something that I just believe that he can score his first goal for Manchester United and last for Manchester United. So I have this confidence, and plus just. I think so that Rashford and Sancho. Uh, I want Sancho to do well, but this with five at the back, I think it will be a very big task for Sancho, and I will see Rashford coming to left and Weghorst centralizing in the later minutes.
Anshuman bhai, Ojas bhai, realistic question: is there a chance we finish second in the league? Any chances?
Yes,
Anshuman bhai.
Yeah, you do. You do feel that we can finish second in
there
the
is
league.
there is definitely a chance we can do that. Whether it will happen or not is a different matter, but it's very much a chance that we can.
We'll have to win all our games, though. We have to win 8 out of 8. I think if we do end up having a chance of getting second, and there are some tricky fixtures that we have to account for. Aston Villa and Brighton being two of them. But yeah, I do feel that there could be a possibility where we do end up sneaking second, and what a sight that would be for sore eyes. But it would be really funny in a kind of a very anticlimactic sort of way. But yeah, it could be what it could be. And yeah, with that being said, I think we've covered everything there is to cover. Just one more thing to ask, and that is predictions. Or just by I'll start with you. What are your predictions to the game? And who do you think scores the first goal for the game?
Yeah, I think I will go for a 3-1 win. I am predicting a Vegas goal. Maybe it comes, it doesn't, but surely a goal from I Anthony. I can see that.
And Anshuman bhai, what about you?
I will play it rather safe and say a 2-0 win for us.
All right. And who do you see scoring the opening goal for us?
I have to say Rashford because Wally made a lot of sense when he made the point that Rashford will be trying to make those runs in behind, and I think that's one of the likeliest scenarios in which we end up converting a goal. So yeah.
And one more small question. Do you believe that if the game is pretty much comfortable, or irrespective of the game, do you think that Bruno should be the first one to get subbed off, considering the precarious situation that he had, health or fitness wise?
Oh yes, absolutely. I think we need to protect him because it's not just that. We also have a cup final coming on in 1 month's time, and it's a big game for us. So we need to protect our players as much as we can. With Bruno, I'm already slightly worried. I just hope nothing happens to him, and if even if nothing happens to him on the pitch, we take him away as early as we can.
All right. Thank you so much, Anshuman bhai. Thank you so much, Ojis bhai. Thank you to all the people who joined in the stream earlier as well. That was Shitij bhai, Wali bhai, and Partosh bhai. It was great talking about different facets of the game, different facets about United in general, and we're less than 20. We're less than 20. We're almost 20 minutes away from kickoff, and the hope is that we come up with another win and hopefully more or less seal our spot in the top four. Thank you so much to everyone in the chat for tuning in. To all of you all, those who are watching, do smash that like button, do subscribe to our channel, and do press the bell icon so that you're notified for each and every video that we put out on this channel. We are perpetually active on socials, on our social media space, on Instagram and Twitter. Do go ahead and drop us a follow there as well. Say this on every stream. This is no different. Every day is match day on our official WhatsApp group. Do join our ever-growing family. There is always room for more. With that being said, this is Delvin along with Ojis and Anshuman Bhai wishing all of you good night. Do take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Hope there is a positive result in our favor. And we will see you all soon with another episode. Till then, GGMU and take care.